I haven't done one yet. Let's jump into my 7-round Philadelphia Eagles mock draft as done by the Pro Football Network Mock Draft Simulator. A bunch of fun to show you who was available, who I took, and why I took them. It's going to be a very, very fun mock draft show. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Wednesday. I have not done a 7-round mock draft yet. A lot of you guys have been asking for that, and so we're going to jump into that here in just 1 second. First, thumbs up for the draft being 3 weeks away, and also stay tuned for our Wednesday Link Live, the Wednesday live show myself and Josh Davis do every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Tonight is going to be a crazy jam-packed show. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned and join us for that one. We're also doing the jersey giveaway entries for everyone who goes ahead and watches the show and does a super chat. You can entry into possibly winning a Bijan Robinson or somebody else's jersey, as we'll talk about tonight on the show as well. So be sure to join and stay tuned on how to get in on that. Okay, so I'm using the Pro Football Network Mock Draft Simulator. That way, all the other picks are simulated, and then I draft for the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is a really interesting way to do it because it makes you react, right? Now, if I did a full 7-round mock draft, I could put people where I want them to go versus where I think that they're actually going to go. And in this case, the mock draft simulator does a very good job of not only offering trades, as we will see, and very realistic trades, but putting players, especially in the first round, to teams that would make a lot of sense for that specific player. So, I went ahead and fired this up. Obviously, I'm playing for the Philadelphia Eagles here. Here is the first 9 to go in front of Philadelphia. This would be, honestly, the dream situation for the Eagles. Look at this. C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Tyree Wilson goes number 3, Bryce Young 4, Will Anderson 5, okay? Very likely that could be the top 5, maybe not in that exact order. You swap Richardson for Young, you swap Wilson for Anderson, but very similar. Christian Gonzalez goes 6, that's fine. Paris Johnson goes 7 to the Raiders. Miles Murphy goes 8 to the Falcons, and Broderick Jones, the tackle, goes 9 to the Chicago Bears. So Philadelphia has a couple of options here. First off, look, Jalen Carter is available. Bijan Robinson's available, Devin Witherspoon's available, Jackson Smith and Jiba is available, and Peter Skoronski, all available. Same with Brian Branch. I mean, Philadelphia has their choice of all the players that have been linked to Philadelphia. You can really pick whoever you want. There's also been a trade offer here, and we have 2 of them. The first of which is the Saints offering us 29 overall, 40 overall, and 115. And then you have the offer from Dallas, which is unlikely, but they give you an example of what it could look like. 26, 58, a second next year, and a third next year. That's a pretty good offer, but you don't want Dallas to come up here and take Bijan, and obviously we will reject that one. This one, to me, moves Philadelphia too far back. I want to spend 10 on a superstar player, on a player who's going to be, a real, true first-round talent. You get to 29, there's really no guarantee. There's still a first-round draft pick, but I would be fine with going from 10 to 15, or 10 to 13, or 10 to maybe 17, but 29 to me is a little bit too far. I will reject that offer. Now, if I'm sitting here at number 9, it's between 2 players, Bijan Robinson and Jalen Carter. Now, I think most Eagle fans would want Bijan Robinson. Let me know who you would take down below, because that's a very interesting argument. I think Philadelphia, if he is going to go ahead and be there at 10, would take Jalen Carter in a heartbeat. There was that report on the Pat McAfee show yesterday saying the Eagles are essentially the backstop for Jalen Carter. He's not going to fall outside of the top 10. His agent has said they're not going to meet with teams outside the top 10 because he will go inside the top 10. And so I would take, and I think Philadelphia would do this as well, Jalen Carter, despite the fact I really would like to go ahead and take Bijan Robinson there. As many of you guys know, there's a big movement to go ahead and take Bijan, but if we're being honest, you're asking yourself what Howie would do. He'd probably take Jalen Carter, and Carter, despite all the offseason issues or all of the issues that he's had really off the football field, he is probably the best player maybe in the entire draft and makes a ton of sense for Philadelphia. Okay, here are the 3 trade offers that we would get from number 30. You notice Nolan Smith just went number 29, the edge rusher. That was interesting. Bijan did go 26 to the Dallas Cowboys there as well. Also interesting. We are offered by the Chargers 54, 85, a second in 2024, and a 7th in 2024. That's a pretty solid offer. Then you also get this one here where you get 74, 98. Boy, another second there. These are some really good trade offers. 39 in a 2024 second. Now, this is interesting here. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at who is on the board. If I can go ahead and get us back out of the possible trade stuff here. We're going to go ahead and reject 2 of these and show you guys who is on the board. Reject that one. Carolina is interesting, and reject that one. You have Lucas Van Ness. You have Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. You have Trenton Simpson, the linebacker out of Clemson. Jahmyr Gibbs is sitting there at 30. Oh, man. This is what would you guys do? Would you take the Panthers trade here because you get a second next year and only move back 9 spots? The question is, would Jahmyr Gibbs be there at number 30. I don't think he's going to be. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reject that. I'm going to pass on Van Ness because we just got Jalen Carter, although that is a very interesting option there. And I'm going to go ahead and get a running back. And I'm going to take Jahmyr Gibbs. And this is because I think he fits Philadelphia's offense really well. And a lot of you guys really want the Eagles to go ahead and take a running back. And so let's not upset the fans. Let's take Jahmyr Gibbs. Thumbs up for us getting a running back. If you got Carter at 10 and Gibbs at 30, Philadelphia is sitting really, really good overall. All right, now we go ahead and get to our third round draft pick. You see here sitting at 62 overall. Sorry, the end of the second round, our second draft pick here. Our first second round draft pick at 62 overall. And this is where it gets a little bit trickier in terms of where you're going to go and what you think Philadelphia would think about doing here. Best players on the board is Adembawar, who is one of the better pass rushers. That's left here. He's a 40th overall ranked edge rusher out of Northwestern. He makes some Smith. Maisie Smith, the D tackle, would also make a ton of sense here for Philadelphia if they'd not gotten Jalen Carter. As you go through the list, the running back out of UCLA is still available. Also, the running back out of Texas A&M is still available here. You're thinking defense in this situation, and you're trying to decide if you want to go ahead and take like a safety in Jordan Battle, who's the other good safety alongside Brian Branch, or do you want to go ahead and take Brandon Joseph, or do you want to go for an edge rusher? This is tough here. Let me think what we would do. Oh, Antonio Johnson is still there. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that. I think that's what I would do. There's edge rusher, which makes sense, but you also are pretty good at edge rusher right now. I mean, Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham comes back. You just got Jalen Carter. You want to, kind of solidify the final spot that is kind of a hole in the secondary. Maybe get your safety of the future. I'll take Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M. It's tough. This shows you how tough it is. I mean, come on. You have all these great players that are sitting there available. I think Philadelphia would take Antonio Johnson there in the second round. And now you have two defensive players and a playmaking running back, and you probably got three starters as well in the first two rounds. I think that's not bad. Let me know what you guys think about how we did on that one. All right, we're back here for the third round, and we're at pick 94. The Raiders have offered us 100 and 141 to give them 94 and 219. I like this move. I think this makes sense. It moves you up there in the later rounds, and you only go back 6 spots. This is a very Howie Roseman-esque sort of draft move, so I'm going to go ahead and accept the first trade with the Raiders. Let the Raiders go ahead and come up, and then wait for it to get down to 100, and take a look at where we are at here on some of these third-round draft picks. Another trade offer by the Jaguars. I think we want to take somebody here. Let's take a look at the best players available. You have a safety and Christopher Smith. You have Zach Pickens, the DT out of South Carolina. You do have an interesting linebacker in DeMarvion Overshown, who... Is he a starter? Can he be a starter soon? I'm not sure on that one. Let's have a look. You have Tank Bigsby. This is obviously an option if they had not gotten Jahmyr Gibbs sitting there at number 30. You can see here that some of the running backs are actually still available. I'm really thinking that you could go with a wide receiver at this point and maybe get your wide receiver 3. And also, Kendry Miller is still there. Texas A&M, or the TCU running back. That makes some sense as well. This is tough. Let's look at the best available wide receivers. Again, doing this in real time, it's tough to go ahead and kind of see who all is available. Jayden Reed is still available there as well. Yeah, I think a wide receiver would make some sense here. You could also make the case they would want to go tackle or guard. Tyler Steen, the tackle out of Alabama, is still there. I don't see the value in terms of going with a tackle yet. I think they're going to go for the offensive line later in the NFL draft. Let's get a playmaking wide receiver in... Let's go Xavier Hutchinson, the wide receiver out of Iowa State. I think that you get somebody who can compete with Quez Watkins to go ahead and be the wide receiver 3. They could go ahead and take a wide receiver as an undrafted free agent, let him compete because they don't necessarily need a wide receiver. But we've addressed safety. We've addressed defensive tackle. We addressed running back. We addressed wide receiver. I'm trying to fill holes here and fit needs, and I think that one made a ton of sense for Philadelphia. All right, we're into the 5th round. This was the Raider pick that we went ahead and traded for the 3rd round draft pick to move back 6 spots. We get the Raider pick in exchange, so 141 is where we sit right now. This feels like where Philadelphia would go ahead and address some trench areas, whether it's defensive tackle or get another defensive end, or go ahead and take an offensive lineman. We're looking at offensive tackle and guards right now, and there are some that make some sense. I think guard is kind of the place where you would think you'd go for like a Braden Daniels out of Utah, or maybe a City South Howe out of Eastern Michigan if you felt like he had a little bit more value than the Pro Football Network has him here. I think they're going to go ahead and do Cam Jurgens as the starting right guard. I think that's all but solidified. However, competition internally is never a bad thing, and Philadelphia has shown you in the past they like to bring in additional offensive linemen just to have, some depth and open competition as well. They're going to take an offensive lineman at some point in this draft, maybe a little bit later here in my mock than what Howie's actually going to do. I'll go Braden Daniels, the offensive guard out of Utah at 141. All right, we go to the 7th round, where if anyone wants to criticize who I take in the 7th round, I don't know what to tell you, because a lot of these guys, let's just be honest, we don't know much about. I said this on the Live Link show. I say almost every single Wednesday night. A lot of people who talk about the National Football League, the Philadelphia Eagles, we understand the first couple of rounds. You get to the 7th round, and this is shooting fish in a barrel. This is where area scouts play a giant role. This is where the strength of your front office comes a long way. That way you can draft a guy like Jordan Mailata and turn him into one of the better left tackles in the league. So let's just think about maybe best available, maybe needs here. You could look at possibly another defensive tackle, maybe even an edge rusher. You could go for tight end. This is tough. To me, you'd probably take the best defensive lineman available. That's Byron Young out of Alabama. Is he going to turn out to be actually be a decent player? Who knows? Rotational depth there always makes sense. I'll go Byron Young, the defensive tackle out of Alabama. And that should essentially round out the draft. You're seeing the mock draft simulator going ahead and finishing up these draft picks. Again, are these things perfect? No. But as I showed, it gives you a really good example of what you could potentially do. And I think this makes a lot of sense for Philadelphia. Look at this, right? Let me know how I did. Give me your overall thoughts on this draft. Jalen Carter at 10. He fell, as a lot of people think that he's going to. Jahmyr Gibbs at 30. We had some really good offers. Carolina's move back to 39 and get their second-round draft pick next year could make some sense there. And I've really thought about that. You saw it. But I wanted a running back. I take Jahmyr Gibbs. Antonio Johnson, you fill another need. That way, your first 3 draft picks are all big areas of need. You need a defensive tackle, you need a running back, you need a safety. Did it. Try to go ahead and address that. Then you can go ahead and kind of have fun and take other lesser positions of need later on and hope they turn into boom or bust, right? With the trade, Xavier Hutchinson, the wide receiver out of Iowa State. Braden Daniels, the guard out of Utah. Byron Young, the defensive tackle out of Alabama. Those are depth players who you hope in a couple of years can get up to speed and become decent players in the National Football League. It's tough just because you know Howie Roseman is going to make a bunch of trades, and I had the offers to do so, but I think 10 is going to be fascinating. If they keep 10, it's going to tell you a lot about what they're going to do the rest of the NFL draft, showcasing that they are trying to solidify specific spots and get specific players of need. That way they can hopefully go on another run and potentially, I don't know, maybe get back to the Super Bowl. So let me know what you guys think of my mock draft simulator. Always interesting to see how it turns out. Let me know who you have in your mock draft. If you guys do mock drafts, DM me on Twitter at RealThomasMott. Send me your mock drafts. I'll let you guys do this. I think they're fascinating. And, of course, stay tuned for our Wednesday Link Live. I'm going to talk about this mock draft and a lot more other stuff with Josh Davis, the Philly Special show tonight. I'm Thomas Mott, the first of probably a couple more mock drafts in the next couple of weeks. We get closer to the NFL draft. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.